edition of Michigan High School Hang Time. We appreciate you being here. Scott Burnstein, TJ Kelley is here. Want to thank our sponsors super quick, the MHSAA, Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser, of course, BCAM, and Lawrence Technological University. I'm Lorne Plant. All right, so what we're going to focus on with the boys, I think, for this week is Division I, because after Monday, everything went into
We've descended into madness.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to
March Madness.
I want to credit you right off the bat because you said that going into this season, you're like, I just don't think Clarkston's going to have it this season.
And then I backtracked, and now it's making me look smart.
Yeah, now you're forward track.
Exactly. You should have stuck with your first
Well, I still
thought.
figured they could win 17-18, which they did.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they had the tourney push in them. And really, at the end of the day, what happened on Monday with the upset to Adams was just the inexperience factor that they'd been outrunning all year finally caught up with them. Frankly, both, I think, on the floor, and all due respect to Timmy Wasilk, who I love, on the bench. I didn't really like the final sequence of that game. You had 10 seconds left. You're only down one. They don't call a timeout, and they settle for a deep three from straight away from Fletcher Lawyer. Now, yeah, you want Fletcher Lawyer shooting the ball, but if you're only down one, you got 10 seconds left, you got time to set up a play. I kind of would have liked to see them come out of the huddle and either try to get into the lane to Nicholson or have Fletcher or Keegan drive to the basket. I didn't really like the 23 or 24 footer when you're only down one.
But 37 points, should they have even been in that position? Yeah. It seems like they should have blown them out. Now, granted, I don't want to take anything away from Adams. They were the white champ. They got 18
You have all
wins.
three OA champs in that
district.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at that game as
crazy.
I looked at that game as in seeing Adams, not in, and I want to give credit to Adams.
Yes.
Because they wound up making a shot. Wound up making shots. You got three starting freshmen. You got three starting freshmen on either team in the backcourt. Then you throw in a kid, Ethan Emerzian, who's only a sophomore. That's a really young group. To put some stuff on, and these we're used to seeing Clarkston and Foster and Poise. And even with C.J. Robinson and stuff like that, and experienced backcourt, and all of a sudden, I thought there was a Clarkston player that flashed under the basket where it could have been a layup, But at the same time, I think next year, as the evolution of student athletes as players, you learn from your mistakes. It's not the end of the world.
And they got pretty much everyone coming back, with the exception of Jake Jensen, who was a really solid role player. Yep. But they bring everyone back, and
he didn't hit a lot of shots.
Yeah,
it was just the shots just didn't fall for either team, and that's why 39.
And at the end of the day, that win took a lot out of Adams, and they had really nothing left in the tank come second round, and they pretty much got blown out by Lake Orion. So
right. Yeah, which again was a surprise.
It was double digits the whole game.
Yeah, one more note on that game. We got to credit the 6'5" big guys for Adams and what they were able to do against Matt Nicholson.
Georgie
George Uri and Solomon Shaw Nichols
and Peyton Priestcorn, who plays inside out.
Yeah. So good on them. But again, then you got to get up and you got to play the next game. This
might be Oxford's year. All due respect again to Lake Orion, who definitely could pop Oxford in the district final. They're playing in their own crib, but I've had a good feeling about Oxford all year, and I think this could be a team that, dare I say, make a run to the quarters.
I think so, for sure.
I could see that. I mean,
I don't think a team from the OA Blue has ever been in the quarters, let alone maybe the regional finals.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not the.
But this is not your.
They have to go play the Walled Lakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, they would run into. They would run into the winner of that LVC district in the first round of the regionals. Okay. In the second round of the regionals, they would face the winner of the Bloomfield Hills district and the Howell district.
St. Mary's.
So Linden, most likely Howell versus Orchard Lake would be the one regional semi, and then whether Milford or Walled Lake Northern wins versus Oxford or Lake Orion.
Okay, so that's clear. I'd say in another one, and again, when you play as many times as these two do, talking about Detroit King and Detroit Cats Tech, double overtime this one goes, a classic. Jordan Whitford was the hero right before the MLK Classic, right around the time of the new year, and then he did it again. 16 of his 18 points came after the third quarter.
Wow.
And they were able to pull off a 55-51
He's a swag nasty
win.
in the backcourt, man.
Right, that's what seniors do. They step up.
And
because they've learned from the process. They've seen what mistakes they've made, and all of a sudden, hey, I want this pressure because I've prepared.
He's so gritty. He does nothing. When you look at it, he does nothing that wows you. He's not a guy that's gonna pop you 8 threes in a game. He's not a guy that's gonna score 30 points. But he is so consistent and so clutch.
Yeah.
Coach on the floor. I mean, it sounds cliche, but he's the guy that does all the right things, all the little things, and he just the consummate winner.
Yeah, that's key for any coach. Hey, I want a point guard with some consistency.
And then John Massey. I mean, he's the heart and soul of that crew. I mean, again, not a kid that is going to blow up the stat sheet, but
he gets it done.
Just Sir Grind a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it was a good win for King. And again, when you play that kind of schedule all season long, obviously they had played the Clarkstons of the world and other really good teams. And again, these two, King Cass, I mean, it could be badminton, and it's going to be a war.
Shout out to King too, because they lost to Renaissance, they lost to Ann Arbor Pioneer, then they come up and they've got to play Cass Tech. I don't remember the last time George Ward. When was the last time he lost 3 games in a row?
Right.
And
King.
When was the last time?
And now King is the last man standing in that triumvirate of PSL powers: Renaissance, King, and Cass. King is the only one left here as we head into March.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Yeah, we're not through the districts here again. Recording this on Thursday, so we haven't quite got to the weekend. We have some opportunities, though, to check out. And really, I guess, if we want to just kind of put a little bow on D1, TJ and I had the opportunity to see Ypsi and Ypsi Lincoln play last night in the district semifinal. Great atmosphere at Belleville, packed to the gills. Imani Bates coming out, just intense. Great.
Step back three.
Marquise Browning and Lucas Henderson on the other side with Team Brooks.
Marquise came great first half for Browning. Yep. Bates equaled that with a great first half. Like you said, he was shooting it all around, as well as, when he was following up his shot, then slamming it down.
Twice.
Yeah.
Twice. I mean, one was a 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a 17-foot jumper. I mean, that's something I can't do.
That's why we're on the mic and they're on the
somebody who's never been in my house.
Yes. But it really was a kind of a tale of two halves of Ypsilanti really just couldn't get it going in the second half. All props go out to Christian Knox, who had 26 game high. He was great. Hit some big clutch shots for Ypsilanti, but they just couldn't get it together. And Ypsilanti Lincoln moves on with the win. They're going to face a Saline team that took down Ann Arbor Pioneer on the same night.
There were upsets all around the state.
They lost twice to Huron. They lost twice to Pioneer.
Now Huron and Pioneer are both out.
Yeah.
When I got to the game yesterday, I was sitting with the Ann Arbor Huron coaches.
Right.
And I was just like a few minutes later or whatever, and Saline was already up. At one point, they were up 24 to 12. I think it got down. I think that Pioneer might have taken the lead late, but then Saline came back through. And Coach Samaha at Ann Arbor Huron, he's like, "Why does it seem like everybody plays their best against us?"
Right.
And it is what it is. But shouts out to Saline. I'm at the Yaklich was really good. The kid who's going to Penn State to play baseball, he was really good.
Yeah.
I remember that was the 3rd kid this year I walked up to. Hey, so what's going on with like your recruitment? Oh, I'm already off the board. Penn State.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Like, what am I missing here?
Baseball.
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 So
I was at a buzzer beater last night.
Go ahead.
Wall Lake Northern. Avoided the upset bug against crosstown rival Wall Lake Central, who had only won 6 games this year, but it looked like a team that had won at least 16. They shot about 65-70% from the field in the first half, got up by double digits in the second half, and then Wall Lake Northern made a furious comeback and kept that magical season alive. They won 20 games, 20-2. Best season in school history so far, looking to get that second district in program history. And Troy Latimer took over the fourth quarter. The senior guard had 12 of his 14 in the fourth to lead the comeback. And then Kevin Robertson, one of the best sophomores, definitely in Oakland County, probably in Metro Detroit, tipping at the buzzer off a Latimer miss. and Wall Lake Central or Wall Lake Northern survive in advance.
All right. I think another one we have to mention is Grand Blanc beating Flint Carman Ainsworth.
Yes.
40-39.
Ty Rogers.
Everyone
wants to talk about the Clarkston freshman backcourt, the Amani Bates. Ty Rogers is like, wait, don't look past me because I am a powerhouse in the making.
Right. Hannah played really well for Mount Clemens, and they wound up winning another freshman. I mean, it's good to see a whole bunch of guys.
Ty Rogers really took over that game in the second half.
Yeah, Trey Lewis at Ferndale has been playing really well. Really well. I mean, they get to play against Warren Lincoln in their district finals.
Ferndale's a team that really started to gain traction in the second half of the year. They didn't get those transfers in like they thought they were. But shout out to Juan Rickman to keep that ship pointed in the right direction, and they just put their nose to the grindstone. And I think they've won 12 or 13 games, and that's a team that is still dangerous with Sudie McElroy and Tiante McKeithen and Lewis, and that's a team that could make some noise. And
the thing is, their opponents have to find ways to score because Ferndale's going to score. You have to be able to score 70 points. And that was pretty much the thing with East when Juan was at East English Village, was that you had to keep them under 70 because you're not going to outscore them. And I think that's one of the things that the Oakland County, the OAA, these districts and stuff like that they're going to have to find out. And it's not like you can just go, I need you to score 30.
It's been a roller coaster this season. They went from probably a top team in the state if they had all those transfers to, oh, wait, those transfers aren't going to be eligible. They got to wait a year. Oh, now they're an afterthought. We've forgotten about you. Then they had a real strong finish to the year. They popped Oxford.
I mean, we talked about the OAA Blue. Was it OAA Blue?
Yeah. With Oxford.
We've talked about them
with Oxford, Pontiac.
Other guys. Yeah.
And then just a quick D2 shout out. Cranbrook beat Country Day probably for the first time in 40 years.
Yeah. How about Voss lives at Chippewa Valley? Yeah. I mean, he's on the verge of retiring. I heard Marvin Cushenberry might be retiring at Romeo.
Right.
Got to see, unfortunately they wound up losing, to Oxford. But yeah, I mean, we're in kind of
we're knee deep into March Madness, and it's not even March yet.
I know.
Yeah. Right.
I know.
You got to wait a whole nother 13 hours.
We're going to wrap up our D1 conversation quickly with, I just kind of think where the power structure kind of lays now. Obviously, UD Jesuit is there. We're the cream of the crop, still the cream of the crop. Who are the other teams, in my estimation, that are still alive that I really, really like moving forward? The Canton Chiefs, only one defeat.
Mr. Basketball candidate B. Artis White.
They still have to be Wayne, which is going to be tough for them.
Yep. They're going to have to, in the final. So, again, but, able to take care of John Glenn and other Mr. Basketball fans. We'll be talking Mr. Basketball in our BCAM segment later in the show. Obviously, I think another team, you could look at something like a Mount Pleasant, who are still alive, 19
Imagine
wins.
Mount Pleasant versus Oxford to get to the semis.
Right. But I was just kind of like, for you guys in Division I, because that's what we're kind of focusing on today, where do you think are the ones, that moving forward that we'll still be talking about next week as we get deep into regionals?
I would love to. I mean, I imagine the state would love to see, just as an exposure for everybody to see Amani Bates, kind of a fashion like Josh Jackson a few years ago at Miles Bridges.
But Josh Jackson didn't go to Breslin until his sophomore year.
Until the sophomore year, but but they still lost to, getting to I think the quarters, and then they wound up losing to Beecher. Monty Morris wound up going. I caught the last 2 minutes of that game, packed house at Old Pontiac Northern. But yeah, I mean. Let's say this.
Maybe Roseville might sneak into.
Yeah, Roseville. I mean, if it's Roseville versus UD Jesuit, I could see that. I could see King versus Ann Arbor. Nobody. I mean,
Skyline's still alive right now.
Skyline's going the opposite way. They got to go Dexter. They've got to go the Dexter route. So, I like over on the west side of the state,
Muskegon. I was about to say Muskegon.
Mattawan is undefeated. I mean, they've got 2 Division I guys in their front court, even though Nolan Foster. Like guys are like, why is he still on the board? 6'11", athletic, good 8 frame, strong grades, active, kind of things that you can't put in the ground for a day and it'll grow for you.
Yeah. How about Okemos?
I like Okemos as well. They got tested.
They'll probably be taking on Mattawan in the regionals.
Well, let's say this: they've got to get past Lansing Eastern or Lansing Everett. Lansing Everett, I believe, beat Grand Blanc. early in the season.
Okay.
Lansing Everett's one of those teams where they can kind of,
10-12 on the season, so you wouldn't think about it. But when you're playing a tough schedule and you're obviously battling in games, we could see that. So. That's kind of DeWitt's still out there.
Mm-hmm.
I like 18 wins.
I've been
and Orchard Lake's still alive too.
Orchard Lake, but I've been championing Catholic Central all year.
Central's
I was really
alive,
not to pat myself on the back, but I was the only one talking about these guys in the preseason. They've had a really good season so far. They got 3 seniors, 3 senior tri-captains, and Brendan Downs, Justin Rucat, and Davis Lukomsky, all at least Division II players at the next level. Brandon Sanawi comes over from leading Novi to a Final Four berth last year, moves over to the Catholic League, and didn't really miss much of a beat with this Catholic Central team. They handled Farmington last night, and then they're going to play Northville in the district final.
Okay.
I see a long run in their future, and then I'm riding with Oxford.
Was Northville over North Farmington
Northville,
pretty big upset, or no? I mean, Northville
had a better record. North Farmington kind of peaked too soon, and they were really fading hard down the stretch. Had trouble generating offense. They need to get more out of their backcourt going forward. Next year their whole backcourt returns. So another year they'll get better.
All right, quickly, kind of across all divisions, what are you looking forward to the most here as we get towards the district finals here the weekend and as we get into early next week?
Just give me Bridgeport, give me Williamston, give me Rouge, Benton, Harbor, give me I know that there was New Haven. If Chandler Park is there, I mean, that means that we've got 6 or 7 teams that have like 3 to 4 losses between them.
I think Romeo had another triple-double last night. He's got like 12 for the year.
Yeah, they won like 183 to 17.
Yeah, my goodness.
Most people are lucky to get 1 triple-double in their career.
Algonac was 0-20.
Yes. Yeah, 0-20. That's like their first year of their hockey team. We were talking about that yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Sophia Lathrop, give you a heads up, 91-92, we were beating Algonac like 25-6.
But you're right. You're talking about Division II.
Yeah.
And it's going to be crazy here, I think. Like we had a crazy week in D1. I think that's what we're going to see in D2.
For me,
but you're going to have those top teams. I don't see those top teams in Division II losing. I mean, Catholic Central comes back, and they were down 15 to Grand Rapids Christian. South Christian's still out there. I mean, it's exciting.
It is.
For me, it's just the atmosphere during a playoff run.
It's true.
You can't match
the vibe.
The fourth quarter.
It's just
when games are close. It's just the crowd,
the energy, and the aura, and the idea that it's win or go home, and finally you get. Unfortunately, we're in a day and age where there's so much to do. You don't have a lot of fans showing up at these regular season games like you used to.
Yeah.
But for the playoffs, they come out in droves. So you get that vibe in the gym, and everyone's jacked, and everyone's ready to go, and it's like a prize fight. You got guys that are just swinging it out, and the best team's going to win, and the team that loses is going to be on the canvas, got to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and go prepare for 2020. But 2019 still moving, and we got a lot of really good basketball in front of us.
And every once in a while, you get those teams, that rise up out of nowhere, just pull something out of like a rabbit out of the hat.
Right.
And for those guys, and for us who all we all played high school sports, that lives with you forever.
Right.
You'll have reunions just to talk about that game. 10, 15, 20, 25 years.
I run into guys that I played basketball with 20 years ago, and the first thing we start talking, remember that game and that shot and that huddle?
Yes.
I mean, it's like...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And now, thankfully, because everyone has recording devices and stuff, you've got multiple angles of a lot of this that you can compile and enjoy it.
I got to watch the Adams Clarkston upset from California. So, I'm watching it on my phone.
Right.
It's great.
Was it Oxford TV?
I think it was Lake Orion who's doing the broadcast.
Okay. Nice. And they do have quite a production. Every
Yeah,
time I
do.
go to Lake Orion,
It's
I'm
always
just like,
solid.
wow.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are like 18-2 this year.
It was the Lake Orion Audio Visual Club that were giving us the streaming, the upset and the streaming form.
All right, check out TJ's rankings at our website, statechampsnetwork.com. How many are you going to do? How many more are you going to do?
We just finished the last final rankings.
Okay.
UAD Jesuit, I think New Haven's at number 1, Beecher's at number 1 in Division 3, and then Buckley, I believe, is number 1 in Division 4.
Okay, so that's how
Brimley.
Brimley. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So check that out at our website, of course, Bernie's Bites. You've got good stuff going there. We'll have new rundowns going too. So, again, thank these two gentlemen. We're going to get a quick catch up in what's happening in girls. They're wrapping their regular season, all the championships going on now. Matt Mowery will join me next.
Fundraising should be fresh, flavorful, and simple. We have the perfect solution at Hungry Howie's. Dough Raiser. Your team or school can sell paper pizza certificates that can be redeemed for one medium pizza at participating locations.
We've been doing this fundraiser for about 4 years, and it's the easiest and best and most profitable fundraiser they have in Michigan.
Go to doughraiser.com to learn more and sign up. Your next fundraiser comes with flavored crust. Welcome to Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser.
Welcome back to Michigan High School Hang Time. Matt Mowery is here. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
You can read all of his stuff at statechampsnetwork.com. He has been all over the place, as a lot of us have, and just kind of running around. But he's been focusing on what's been happening in girls basketball. They have now got into kind of championship mode for their leagues. The cream's rising to the top, but we had big news that was announced on Thursday. The list came out for the Miss Basketball finalists. Who are they?
Well, it was a good day for MSU basketball, let me put it that way. 3 of them are going to Michigan State. 1 is going to Mississippi State. So, obviously, we have Rickea Jackson, who's going to Mississippi State. She was the no-brainer on the list. You knew she was going to be on there. Joining her are Grosse Pointe North's Julia Aralt, who's going to Michigan State. Heritage's Mo Joyner, who's going to Michigan State. And their future teammate from Muskegon, Eliza Winston, the point guard. So, that is a power-packed lineup, and Susie Merchant has to be happy this morning because just like on signing day, that's kind of a windfall when you can bring in 3 people who are finalists for an award in your state, in your own state, by the way, too. So that's a heck of a coup for them. That's 4 quality players. We talked about the list, being maybe 5 or 6 or 7 deep that you could have legitimately put in that top 4, but that's a heck of a foursome.
Right, and just 4. Are you surprised?
Not surprised. I think they kind of wanted to keep it slim like they did with the boys. Both boys and girls had 4 this year, so kind of keep it compact so you can keep the voting, not too spread out between a bunch of candidates. So I think that's kind of the way they've been going recently.
Okay. So what are some of the news? Obviously, we're going to have the Wayne Memorial Brighton girls game. That's our main event this week, the KLAA title game. Wayne gets the best of Brighton in that one, really playing well as they get ready for the playoffs, and there's some, a lot of other league championships happening now too.
Yeah, there was a lot of beating up between the Division I teams, and it started all the way back on last Monday when DeWitt and East Lansing got together. Then East Lansing came in and played. They hosted Saginaw Heritage a day or 2 ago, and that Heritage came out on top there. So there's been a lot of. You may have seen some pristine records for D1 teams going into the last 2 weeks, and that's kind of changed a little bit with how much those top ranked teams are playing each other. So Midland Dow beat Carman Ainsworth team that had played a lot of the top teams in the Saginaw Valley Championship game, and Molly Davis had another night to remember. They captured their first Saginaw Valley League title since 2015, and then Julie.
She's not a Miss Basketball finalist. No, at least they got that. They got a lot of hope for
yes,
this
they do have
run.
hardware. Yes, and Julia Aralt helped guide Grosse Pointe North. I don't think anybody 3 months ago thought anyone was. And that MAC Red is so tough, and so it's just jam packed with teams that should be able to be contenders. And they skated all the way through the regular season and the red-white tournament in the MAC without a loss, which I think is that's Cousino did it a couple of years ago, but that's a rare feat to go through all of those unscathed. She's been kind of dealing with a little bit of a hand issue. She's got some ligaments in her thumb, but she refused to get a cast because you want to go out swinging in your senior year, and so she's going to go down hard. And then obviously, as you said, Brighton and Wayne got together for the KLA championship on Tuesday. And
do you know that I saw, and again, remember I sent you that text. I was like, they hadn't played since 2011.
Yeah, well, part of that is because, the KLA is not an incredibly old conference.
Correct.
It's really only, 8 or 9 years old even before the LVC team is split off. But some of it is just the way the old tournament used to be. Unless you were, the final two, you wouldn't cross over.
Right.
And now it's the top two. And for a while, quite honestly, before this recent little run, Wayne Memorial was not very good. They don't like to be reminded of that, but it was a program that was way, way, way down, and they've come quantum leaps, forward. And so there really wasn't a whole lot of opportunity for those two teams to meet, but.
And I was going to say, and one other thing is Marion wins
the Catholic League title again, for their 800 billionth in a row. It seems like it's, I think it's 3 out of the last 4, and I'm going to blank on the numbers now, but it's they've won a lot and they've been there a lot, like in the KLAA where Wayne I think has been in the last 5 championship games, and they've won 3 out of the last 4. Obviously Marion's kind of controlled that league in the last couple of years at least.
Is there anything, we're about to get districts going.
Sure.
What is it next week that you're looking forward to, you think, that is going to be, either we may see the biggest surprises or we're going to get some of the best games?
Well,
off the top of your head.
Some of it is just going to be just like we saw in the boys on Monday, where you have a contender go in and all hyped up about their nice record, and the nice shiny record goes poof when you lose in the first round.
Right.
That happens a lot. Yeah, and some of it is just that's anything can happen in the postseason. To throw out all the cliches, but it's going to be interesting to see who can survive unscathed. Because I think, especially in D1 where we've got such a list of contenders.
That's the most competitive.
Yeah, which, all of them, if they survive until week 2, then we start to go, okay, well, who's going to be here? And that's where I think you see some of those crossover games that we've already seen, interconference and intersectional games where we've seen, teams match up will be interesting because now they've already played, so a Heritage and East Lansing, if they run into each other in the playoffs, well, they've got a little bit of tape on each other, and they obviously know how each other plays. So it's going to be interesting to see, some of the contenders that have been in districts with each other before. I believe East Lansing and DeWitt are split up. Brighton and Heartland, even though they're 7 miles apart, are in different districts. Right. So it'll be interesting to see how many of those can survive until the next week, and then that's when the party really starts, and some of the contenders really start to get tested.
Finally, then, as far as rankings go, you'll be putting out one
more. Yep, one more before the end. I'll try to get that out Saturday if I can, or Sunday. And we'll have the full pairings on the website as we've got for the boys, and you can follow that throughout the postseason as we get scores that come in and we get coverage. We'll link to it on the pairings page.
Okay, and we'll talk about it here on HangTime. So he is Matt Mowery, and again, girls get going next week. They'll be playing again. Remember, the state finals are now at Calvin College.
Yep.
So that'll be taking place at the end of the month. We'll be following it all the way right through here. Okay, coming up next, Dan Young will be here. We actually had our Mr. Basketball list announced late last week. Didn't get a chance to talk about it here. We'll go over that Final Four next.
Coaching basketball is a rewarding and challenging pursuit, but you don't have to do it alone. The Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan are here to support you.
BCAM is the largest coaches association in the country with nearly 6,000 members representing college, high school, and middle school ranks. Members have access to drills, clinics, job opportunities, and it's the only way to vote for our annual awards, including Mr. and Miss Basketball.
Join today by visiting bcam.org, because better coaching always matters.
So, I got my start in officiating when a friend told me I should try it. At first I just did basketball, and I got hooked. Before long, I added baseball, softball, football, and volleyball. I really enjoy giving back to the game, working with kids, and working with my local association to recruit and train new officials. I would like to say to anybody that officiating is a great way to help kids and stay connected to the game. We always need new officials. There's help wanted, just listen.
Welcome back to the final segment of this week's newly streamlined Michigan High School Hang Time, and we have Dan Young here, the Executive Director of the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan, otherwise known as BCAM. How you doing, bud?
Great, doing great. Thank you.
Right,
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Always great to have you, and it's always an exciting time when we finally get to hear who are the finalists for Mr. Basketball. We talked about Miss Basketball in the segment right before this. Mr. Basketball came kind of late last week, and this is a Final Four of impressive young men.
Yeah, a little different having the boys first this year.
Yeah.
All the presentations and awards are coming first, and the girls will be coming right soon. In fact, they were announced today.
Yeah.
Great group. 4 very deserving players. I mean, you talk about Joe Moon from John Glenn, who has had a monster senior year and maybe wasn't on the radar coming into his senior year, which is exciting for young kids coming up, that improvement and putting up great numbers and leading your team to a lot of great games and breaking the school record of Nick Daniels at John Glenn this year.
Yeah.
Nick played for me. I know how good he is. He played at Oakland and just graduated from Oakland. Really proud of him. And so Joe's a great kid, they say, and very deserving. Good guard, still unsigned.
Yeah.
Is starting to really – this could help him.
Yes.
For sure. The other 3 guys are already signed and delivered to their schools. So.
Yeah, and B. Artis White and who is another Mr. Basketball finalist we'll talk about next. They went up against Joe Moon in last night's semifinal, and it was Canton coming out on top. Not a real surprise. Canton, 19-1, I think, now on the year, and really playing their best basketball. And it's always cool when you got 2 Mr. Basketball finalists going head-to-head, 2 point guards. No less, going head-to-head. And, you have an opportunity. This is unique that, you get a chance to see, living in that area, get a chance of seeing Canton and seeing B. Artis for his career. And not somebody I would say who was under the radar. I say came in full steam to his senior season and did not disappoint.
B. Artis has developed so much under Jim Reddy at Canton High School. His skill level has gotten so much better. You can tell, and we have heard that he puts a tremendous amount of time in the gym. His body is much stronger than a year ago. He might be the quickest player I've ever seen. He is just – it looks like he's not – the way he steps away and gains space. People say he's small, but he creates so much space with his quickness. He finishes better at the basket. He's a very good passer. He leads them in steals, and most games leads them in rebounding.
Yeah.
And
surprising.
His dad, Benny White, is a former Spartan
Yeah.
and current coach at Birmingham Groves, and just one of the real good guys in our sport.
No question.
So B. Artis is very deserving. Going to Western Michigan to play for Steve Hawkins, they're very excited about him. He's and he shoots it great too. Deep NBA 3 type range.
I know another school that's excited that they have a young man coming next year, and that would be DePaul. And New Haven's Romeo Weems. What can he say again? It was kind of a real odd duck that happened yesterday in the fact that they went up against an Algonac team who was 0-20 in the semifinals of the districts. But again, he had another outstanding year. It doesn't matter who you line up against him. 6'7", just unbelievable wherever you space him on the floor.
Yeah, has that great basketball body, lean but getting stronger. Has always been pretty strong as far as his legs. His body's really developed, and he had a game of a quadruple double the other day, which in a 32-minute high school game
That's crazy.
Is hard. Yeah, blocks, rebounds, either steals or assists. I think it was assists and points.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of games where he is not the leading scorer and very well could be. So that's a credit to him being a good teammate and is very well coached by Tadero France II.
Yeah, they are focused on a state title, no doubt about it. That's what they want.
He's a beast, and he's been the leader in the house in the camp for many. Yeah. You see him coming up and say he definitely could be Mr. Basketball when he's a senior.
No doubt. I mean, if you're playing with USA Basketball, then that's kind of a natural association that you would put together.
So he's He made the list.
Yeah, he made the list. I think another guy we could talk about quickly is Chandler Turner, the 6'6" guard out of Detroit Renaissance, Mr. PSL this year, and really considering the turmoil and what that team went through in the beginning of the season for them to rally as they did. They got to the PSL championship, did not win it. And I believe their season is done now as two. But this is a kid who had an amazing year and was really, really just, I kind of think about strength when I see him, what he was able to do. PSL obviously is always, tough.
Every game's very tough.
Such a grind. Going to Bowling Green, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists a game. Great player.
Great length. Bowling Green got a good player.
Yeah.
Has a real motor, plays really hard, does a lot of things well, finishes great around the rim, great in-between guy in the lane, defender, blocks shots, runs the court hard. Yeah, and the situation at Renaissance was very, disappointing for us as our coaching fraternity.
Yes.
But the kids rallied, and he rallied, and good for him.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Absolutely. So what about voting? What do the coaches have? What's their deadline?
We are in the process of voting right now, so the numbers are coming in, and we have till March 4th at 9 p.m. So we're, which would be Monday, right?
Yeah,
Monday at 9 p.m.
Monday,
so
March
we're getting.
4th. I like to associate a day with the date because I usually don't know what date it is. Yeah, Monday, March 4th. That's coming up.
Yeah. So we're in it. We're in the middle of it right now.
Okay, and then quickly for the girls, as far as voting goes, we talked about it in the previous segment. Rickea Jackson out of Detroit Edison, Mo Joyner out of Saginaw Heritage, Eliza Winston out of Muskegon, and then, of course, Julia Aralt out of Grosse Pointe North. What's happening with voting? Because everything's so wacko this year with the girls being after the boys as far as tournament goes.
Right. So before we go to girls, boys will be announced on Monday, March 11th at the Detroit Free Press Building.
Okay.
And then girls voting will start Wednesday, March 6th, and will end on Monday, the 11th.
Beautiful. Dan, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
You can watch
Appreciate it.
You can watch